If you want to stay up to date with all current hip hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become part of this community. This man Lil Pump is causing some trouble again, and what went down and where I see his career at right now is what we're going to talk about today. So there was some, posts about this whole thing going down. I came across this article on Double XL about Lil Pump owing money in taxes, and the amount of it is pretty high because it's about $90,000 for the year of 2019. Now, since then, the IRS has placed a lien on his $5 million home in Miami, which he bought, in 2019 after his second album, Harvard Dropout, dropped. So this thing is getting pretty serious because they're saying if he doesn't come through and pay his taxes, they could possibly, seize the entirety of his assets until the debt is paid, which is of course very serious for someone like Pump, who has a lot of assets in houses and cars and jewelry, whatever. Now, his reaction to this was going on social media and kind of, again, in his very dumbed down voice, screaming "Don't believe the internet, that's all cap. 90,000, that's on my wrist right now. Another 90, that's on my neck. Don't play with my body." Which I don't know how to feel about his reaction to this, because that is of course not, the right way to react to a IRS lien on your house. In this case, so far from the evidence that we have, of course on the side of the government. If the IRS has the paperwork to prove that he didn't pay his taxes, then that is probably rightfully so. If we learn otherwise, and I of course can change my opinion, but I don't know, I just don't see Lil Pump in a position where he can just call out the government for some taxes that he didn't pay, which he says that he has. So it's all kind of weird. It's really kind of just another attempt from him to get some, attention, because honestly, if the whole thing is true, he could have just paid his debt. If he couldn't, then that's a whole nother thing, but let's just say he had the money to pay for it, because apparently he's walking around with $200,000 each day, so that's on him. So this whole thing could have went down not public, just in private. Him and the IRS could have just solved this thing, and the beef between the two, if you can call it that. But Lil Pump chose to go public and do it in this very trolling way again that we've seen him do a lot of times in the past. And that got me thinking about the only time we see Lil Pump's name or face pop up anywhere in social media, anywhere in any news outlet these days, it's when it's about some really stupid stuff that's really unnecessary that he just wants to use to, get a little bit more traction going on for his music, get those last couple of thousand streams out of Gucci Gang, and maybe then, use that money to pay back his debt. So that's kind of very pathetic to me. I think, as I said, if this whole thing is true, it could have went down in private, but just the fact that he chose to go public with this is, kind of very, very pathetic and very poor. Now, we could, of course, generalize this and talk about how all these rappers that were really popping off at that SoundCloud level that have now fallen off just try to, get every last bit of attention that they can through some really stupid stuff. 6ix9ine, another perfect example, who was popping 2 to 3 years ago, who's now also trying everything to get back on there. He's at least doing a little better than Lil Pump. I mean, Lil Pump has not had a hit in years. Nowadays he's just doing a couple of features. The last song we've gotten from him was that Life Like Me single, that's really doing poorly on streaming. It's not up there at all. In a year, it's now only gotten 1.6 million streams, which is not, a small number. Any small artist would kill for that, but just compare that to the streams that his viral songs got. And I think he still lives in kind of that bubble in his head where he's just at that same peak that he was at back in 2017, 2018, which is just not the case anymore. And I think a lot of artists have realized that ever since then, but Lil Pump, I'm not really sure. And so far, he's just not really made any attempt to get back on there, to drop quality music, to maybe drop an album that is not just a compilation of some SoundCloud tracks. Because Harvard Dropout, as much as I was actually surprised by it, I thought it would be way trashier, is just not an album that's gonna get you very far in the long run. And I know Lil Pump is not to be considered a rapper that's always in it for his legacy and in it for the long run for his discography. I know that that's not his motivation at all. But if he just wants to stay relevant a little longer, he should probably stick to his core product, the music, instead of trying to, turn up some stuff on the internet, which is just going to make him look stupid. Because in this case, I mean, he's going against the government. He's going against the IRA. I don't think there's any, more stupid way you could beg for attention than that, because now they'll have their eyes on them. And that's going to cost him a lot more in the future, because when those, tax paying days do come around, he might not be as, liquid as he is right now to pay them in the future. And then they're going to be on him. But yeah, I think Lil Pump is in a very special place right now where people still know him. This generation that he was popping with is not like, they haven't outgrown that era. They're still there, but they've just moved on to other artists that are popping right now. And Lil Pump was just kind of left behind in those Gucci Gang days. Don't get me wrong, tracks after that, Ashketa and stuff like that, they did pretty well too. And I was surprised at how long Pump could carry his wave. I was positively surprised, because I thought that dude was just gonna be over after a month, but he actually stayed for like 2 years. But since then, it's just really been like a downward spiral, and stuff like this happening is not helping it at all. So I don't know exactly what to take from this. I think this could just be like a warning or a reminder for all the other like once popping artists out there that stuff can go down really fast in this like downward spiral for you. If you had one hit that really blew you up and your career is not really solid, you don't have a solid fan base, then this can happen to you. At the example of Lil Pump, I believe. And stuff like this happening, as I said, is just very pathetic. It's a very poor attempt to get his music career going again, because in the end, it should be about the music. That's the main product. That's what people should care about, and they do care about that. All the other stuff surrounding it, as much as we always say it's all about like, how much drama someone can cause, how much beef is going on, that's temporary. What's gonna last forever is the music, and if you're not focusing on that, then maybe you're in the wrong business. So that's kind of my rant for all the other artists out there. Anyway, that's what I think about this. Now I want to know what you would think about this. Do you think this whole Lil Pump situation is, whose side are you on? The IRAs or Lil Pumps? Do you think this whole thing is actually true? Do you think he's owing the government $90,000 in tax debt? Do you think that he'll be able to pay that? And what do you think about Lil Pump's career so far? All of that, let me know in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media and blog down in the description. It really helps me out. Until the next one, y'all have an incredible day, and y'all take care.